guys, Tracy Water again. Welcome to my shop. Today we're going to be working on a small box. You can use these for tools, jewelry, keepsakes, whatever else you can think of. The technique is generally the same. I might do a few other boxes in some later videos, but here's one method that you can use. So let's get started. Today we're going to be building the box to hold this tachometer that I use in my day-to-day job. As you can see, the cartridge that normally holds it has seen better days. It's on its last leg, and I'm constantly worried about the tack getting broke. First, we're going to measure it, and it looks like it's about 4 inches, so we'll have to make a box just a little bit bigger than that. First, we're going to cut a 45 on the edge to start our box construction. Next, once we figure out our width, we'll cut the 45 going the opposite direction to make our first side. Next, I'm going to take our first piece we cut to make sure all our sides are the same size, and I'll mark it. And then I'll use a square draw a 45-degree angle line across it so that I know where to cut it at. You need to make sure that the 45s are going in opposite directions. And we'll cut our second piece for the second side. When you start dealing with this many angles going in opposite directions, you really need to take your time and think about it, each cut before you make the cut. And now you can see how the two 45s will now make our 90. And then we'll start on our third piece. We'll cut the ends. You need to make sure that all the 45s are angled towards the inside of your box. Now with all our side cuts, we'll now cut the other side, and this side we need to measure on. And you need to make sure that when you're measuring all this, you're accounting for the inside of the box and not the outside. And we will repeat the same process for all 4 sides. Now to cut the top and bottom, I was dealing with a lot smaller pieces, so I needed to use my table saw sled here just to make it a little safer. Now I'm going to use painter's tape. This will help keep all the edges together so I can make sure everything's squared up while the glue sets up. Now we're going to add glue into all these seams. You need to make sure you use enough glue because that wood, the end grain there, will really soak it up. And now it's just a matter of rolling the pieces onto each other. Once you get all 4 sides all rolled together, you need to make sure that tape gets really tight because that's going to be your clamp while that glue sets up. And there's the start of our box. Again, we're dealing with end grain here, so you need to make sure you get plenty of glue in there. And we'll do the top and bottom, and we'll actually have to clamp them ones in. And now that our glue is set up, we can remove the tape. And I always like to use a router here just to round over the edges so you don't have such sharp edges. And now we'll cut the top and bottom by making one simple cut on all four of the sides. Now we have a top and bottom. And now because mine is going to house a tack in it, I needed to use something for the tack to actually sit in so it wouldn't go rattling around in the box. And I decided to use this insulation foam here. It works quite well, it's easy to cut. Now here I'm mainly just cleaning up the edges, and I'll use the box itself to determine how big that piece really needs to be, and I will cut the piece to size. Now here I'm just making sure that it fits in the box, and do any kind of little trimming just so it has a real nice tight fit. And here I'm using the tack itself just to get an idea of how I need to cut it so that it'll fit as tight as possible. For this foam, you can actually cut it many different methods. Here I'm just using my bandsaw, but you could easily use a foam cutter or even cut it out by hand. That our tack fits nice and snugly in the foam. Now because I cut it in many layers, I'll have to use a spray adhesive to glue it together. And that's what I'm doing here. Just spraying some of that glue on, and little piece by piece put it all back together so that my tack can fit nice and snugly inside. Here's a nice coat of shellac. I gotta say, this is one of my favorite parts of woodworking, is put a nice layer of shellac on there and watch the grain just really come out in all these pieces. Now it's time to put the hardware on. Basically what I'm doing here is I'll just make sure the box is all squared up, and I'll put a clamp on there to hold it. And then I can put my hinges in. My hinges, there's many ways you can do this. I chose the easiest way here, but you could easily put the hinges on the inside and it'll look way better. For me, this is just a box to hold my tack, so I didn't, really care too much how it looked. Now I'm just putting on a front latch there to kind of make sure the box don't fly open at any point. And there's our completed box. Now we just got to put our foam pieces we made earlier in. Put our tack in, and our box is now complete. With our box complete, I now know that my tack will be taken care of. It will not get broke in my truck. Makes me feel a lot better. The same method can be used in all kinds of boxes. This is just a real general basic box here, nothing fancy. The biggest tip I can give you when you're cutting all these angles is to take your time, think about each cut before you actually cut it. And if you notice in the videos, I started out with long pieces and I ended up with a short box. I did that on purpose because I know at some point I'm going to make a mistake, cut a wrong angle or whatever. So that's kind of what I advise to do, is give yourself some wiggle room in there. But I plan to do a few more videos on some boxes, just real general stuff, just to get you guys started. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Keep up with everything I'm working on. But that's all I got for you guys this time, so hope to see you next time.